Prepare to prime and load. Prime and load. Ready, sir? Attachment. To the right. Haste. To the front. Quick. March.
Dutch Gap boat landing. That community was called Osborn. It was an ancient community, part of the old Sir Thomas Dale community that was here in 1611. So the one thing you have to keep in mind is that when you hear me say the word Crown Forces, I don't say British because not all the troops fighting against my guys were British. The elite troops that were here were Americans fighting against me and Americans. Those troops are the Queen's Rangers, led by Colonel John Graves Simcoe, and they're wearing green jackets and little pointed caps that look like they're sent by the Pope. Their uniforms are very distinctive, but they're very elite uniforms. And so when you got one, you got 800 yards. All right. So they're with Benedict Arnold too, and you've heard of Benedict Arnold, correct? All right. So he's commanding the troops over here. General Phillips is the other British general. He's commanding the troops that are currently at Chesterfield Courthouse. And what is here is nothing but militia, no Continentals, which are regular soldiers in George Washington's army. There's none here. So it's just people from their homes who are going to be enrolled in the militia, who have to turn out and fight the best army in the world. How about that? So now what's going to take place is that the Virginia State Navy is at Osborn's. It's a couple dozen ships, including 3 really good first-class fighting ships. And Arnold knows they're there, and all the other ships are stocked with 2,000 hogshead of tobacco, which in modern-day currency is in the 9-digit range of wealth. All right, so imagine that. And Arnold, if he captures those tobacco hogshead, as a British general, gets to keep much of it as spoils of war. All right, so Arnold also has a coward factor. There is a price on Arnold's head by both Congress and Washington himself. So if Arnold gets too close to any fighting and he gets bad, that person could be a private in the militia, now went from being a 50-acre tobacco planter to being a member of the social elite just by bagging Arnold. So that's what's at stake here. So anyway, we're going to be skirmishing in a few moments, but what you heard is the beginning of most skirmishes here in Virginia in 1781, which is usually the sound of artillery. Artillery is going to be brought to the field to fire and test the resolve of the militia in front of them. If the militia stays with the artillery, then they send light troops, fast troops, what we would call today special forces. In this case, the Queen's Rangers and those Hessian Jaegers will almost always be in front, feeling the resolve of the American militia. 9 times out of 10, the American militia wants to have nothing to do with those troops. So it's a matter of how quick your legs could take you. So as it goes. All right? So you fire a few rounds and you run away. That's all it's expected of the militia. If you hit a few of the enemy, great. You slow them down, and if they have to stop overnight and lick their wounds, that's a victory, really. And it's giving you enough time because help is on the way. General Washington has dispatched General Marquis de Lafayette with New England and Continental regulars who are marching to Virginia. So if the Virginia militia holds out, the Marquis de Lafayette will bring the best troops on the soil to you to drive the British out.
Just move to the right slightly. Move down to the right, to the right.
Okay.
Think, ready!
Quarter, pull.
Present! Fire! Prime and load!
Alright, so, in true militia form, I have left the service, and now I'm with you. So, I want you to kind of take in what we can realistically take in. You're hearing the sounds of the revolution. You're hearing verbal commands. You're hearing music. That's the sound of the revolution. The distances are not much different. The military musket of the time is mostly trained for accuracy between 50 and 75 yards. But the Hessian Jaegers that are with General Arnold's forces fighting against my guys, their rifles are accurate up to several hundred yards. So that's why me, the officer, hides my sash, as you can see. I do not want to be singled out by a marksman. So what you're going to see here is a common occurrence in Virginia in 1781, which is the American or Virginia militia giving ground to General Arnold, General Phillips, and then General Cornwallis's armies. All right, so what color uniform? What color uniform? Green. Those are Americans shooting at Americans. Those are Virginians and New Yorkers who are loyal to King George, who are called the Queen's Rangers. They are the best troops in the army. They're coming.
Let's give it to them, boys. Let's give it to them.
Right here. All right, folks. I don't want you to go. Oh, a ring. Oh. It's like there's always eagles above it. Oh, okay. All right, look. Folks, just let you know, the more you curl in there, the more you engage you're getting powder burns. So stay over here. All right.
Lay into them, boys.
So, if you guys see this chimney and fence, don't go past this. Again, I'm just
Keep up your fire!
we're pretty good executing on raining powder burns and good stuff. What I want you to have is a powder burn today. Go home and that's not fun. Alright, so what you see now is going to be a terrible situation. The militia has a river behind them. If you have a river behind you, you have no getaway.
Fire!
So it's pretty much going to be at some point pointless. The Virginia State Navy comes to get you out of here.
They better hurry.
One thing we know is that the Virginia State Navy doesn't have any sailors to man their navy. So you're stuck now. All these troops, all of the troops of the revolution in front of you, fighting against the militia. Remember, if you're a Virginia resident 400 years, 100, 200, 300 years ago, pretty much already in the militia. It's the law. If you want to join the service, yep, good, good. Good. All right.
Watch your muzzles!
All I know English.
Yeah, right, right. All right, so as long as I can see you in front of you, safe.
Come on, Ed, get that shot off. All right, that's good.
Independent fire?
Yes,
So-
independent.
Osborn's landing is going to be where the State Navy hanging out. They're hanging out. They got ships there, not enough sailors to man the ships. The American militia historically was around, but couldn't do much to protect the Virginia State Navy. So there was only three, really functionally two state navies in the war. So the Virginia Navy, they're going to get captured and destroyed. The whole Navy destroyed by really good. All right.
Surrender, rebels! What do we do?
Shot, fire. If you've got your load, fire.
I would make a decision now, man.
Rubber stay. Somebody stay.
All right, so now comes the point. Remember I told you about the officers, right? The officers, like I'm an officer.
Boys, club your muskets.
Rangers at
Club your muskets.
If you kill all the officers, there's nobody around to make a decision of whether to surrender or not. And if there's no commander to make a decision of surrendering or not, the rogues of the armies come in and commit atrocities, kill and strike everyone down. That's why they had efforts to not kill or shoot down officers.
Sir, my officer has run off. So.
Big flag. I'd expect nothing else.
Is he talking about me? I think he was talking about me on that.
I asked you mercy, sir.
All right, so
Lay down your arms.
one of the commanders in these military operations is Colonel John Graves Simcoe. Wonderful journal about this part of the war. They captured more militia, more soldiers than pretty much any force in Virginia did. And Colonel Simcoe, who TV made to look like a lunatic, actually any opportunity he could to save militia's lives from harm, he stopped his men because it's really slaughter sending these green-jacketed men into unprofessional militia. If the militia fights, you fight. If the militia says no, you bring your men back, you give them a chance to give up, they turn in their weapons, and they sign paroles and go home.
Sir. Somebody has to pay. We have a history, sir. We have a history.
They're cousins, mind you. Different churches, though, I would imagine. All right. So what we know about this campaign is that a lot of militia surrendered. What you're seeing right now is kind of like that. But now, remember I talked about the Virginia Navy? I do believe. Artillery, are you going to go and go after the Virginia Navy?
Yes, sir.
You got any more rounds? Quick. So there is literally a race of many of the sailors to get off their ships. And so the Queen's Rangers and the Jaegers and all the British, they're all trying to stop the Virginia Navy from doing this escape. British officers are telling their men to not shoot at them, give them a chance to surrender. But they're probably fire. Veteran Royal Artillerymen can fire their cannon three times a minute. Sometimes they would do it without sponging water in it. How about that? You know what that does, right? Yeah, the gun's hot. Well, all right. Oh boy. Are they still shooting back?
They're shooting at the cop.
Oh, are they trying to engage? So, you see, you notice there's a woman here, right? Does history tell us that there was a woman on artillery crews? Who's studied the American Revolution in school?
Molly Pitcher.
From especially Pennsylvania and Jersey, right? Molly Pitcher, right? Very famous woman who was going to crew a gun at the Battle of Monmouth.
Make ready! Give fire!
Gentlemen, that's warm with peace and that's sponge.
Now, just to let you know, and this is gonna shock you, that is probably the smallest cannon that will operate in most of the service around here in Virginia during the Revolution. Everything was bigger than that. So you heard that sound, right? And that's a charge for you all, not to hurt your ears. But but most of the guns are going to go up to 6-pounders, 12-pounders, 14, 24-pounders on ships. Cannon fire is extremely loud. Musket fire is extremely loud. So when you talk about the veterans later in life, what do you think is the biggest thing they always have with issues?
Hearing loss.
A lot of hearing loss issues. All right, talk about a lot of people that have been in combat today. Similar issues.
He may be the only gunner.